Okay. Thank you everybody so much for turning out to this press conference opposing President Obama's request for a new authorization to use military force. We've got a great lineup of speakers. Jackie Cabasso of United for Peace and Justice and also Executive Director of Western States Legal Foundation will speak first.
Okay, thank you. So, 2 days ago it was February 15th. On February 15th, 2003, the world said no to war. Over 20 million people in at least 600 cities around the world took to the streets to oppose the impending invasion and occupation of Iraq, giving voice to the sentiments of billions. The New York Times called it the rise of a new superpower, world public opinion. Nearly 500,000 people from around the country marched in Manhattan to appeal to the U.S. government and the United Nations to prevent the imminent disaster of war and occupation of Iraq. United for Peace and Justice organized the New York demonstration and co-organized demonstrations around the country. Aside from the millions who participated in that mass action, exponentially more were influenced by it. A multi-issue movement was built around core values of nonviolence, cooperation, social and economic equality, environmental sustainability, connecting the skills and relationships of lifetime peace and justice organizations. Despite the economic collapse of 2008 and the emergence of dozens of new crises after nearly a decade and a half of endless war, United for Peace and Justice continues to serve the peace and justice movement as a leading and unifying voice for action around issues involving militarism, racism, and the environment, both internationally and in our communities. United for Peace and Justice has issued a call. Time for the global superpower for peace and justice to rise again. Take action February 15th and beyond. We say no to global wars. We say no to militarizing our economies. We say no to war on the planet. We say yes, it's time to rise again. It's time for the global superpower for peace and justice to rise again. When we started planning this campaign, we could not imagine that today we would be in a situation where the President's asking Congress for a blank check to wage war in Syria, so parallel to the situation we confronted in 2003 with respect to Iraq. At the same time, the conflict between Russia and the U.S. and NATO over the Ukraine has brought into focus the ever-present and growing danger of nuclear war and the urgent need for progress on the abolition of nuclear weapons. February 15th and February 17th kicks off a new series of coordinated actions that will culminate in the peace and planet mobilization for a nuclear-free, just, and sustainable world in New York City on the eve of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Next, I want to introduce Jonathan Guest from Congresswoman Barbara Lee's office, who will now read a statement.
Thank you. Thank you to CODEPINK, Iraq Veterans Against War, Western States Legal Foundation, ONYX Organizing Committee, Veterans for Peace, and American Friends Service Committee for organizing this gathering and for your work to stop endless war. The President has sent Congress a proposal, and now the Speaker is out of excuses for continuing to delay a debate on the half-year war that our nation is currently fighting. Congress has a constitutional responsibility to debate and vote on matters of war and peace. I hope the Republican leadership will allow this important debate as to whether or not our nation will spend billions and risk the lives of our brave servicemen and women. I am pleased that the President's proposal includes the repeal of the 2002 AUMF that authorized an unnecessary war in Iraq. However, the President's proposal does not include the repeal of the 2001 AUMF, the blank check for endless war. Without repealing the 2001 AUMF, any president can wage war at any time and in any place without Congress's consent or supervision. The status quo of perpetual war cannot continue. It's past time to repeal the 2001 AUMF. We can all agree that ISIL and their actions are horrific. In order to ultimately degrade and dismantle ISIL, we must have a comprehensive strategy. Last week, I introduced HJ Res 30 to ensure a comprehensive economic, political, and diplomatic strategy to combat ISIL. Thank you for your support. We must keep up the demands for a congressional debate and a comprehensive strategy. From newspapers, headlines, to TV pundits, we are changing the conversation and pressuring the House Republican leadership into having the debate that Congress should have had 6 months ago. This is because of you and your work, Together, we can reestablish the checks and balances on war-making that is enshrined in the Constitution. It's time for a comprehensive strategy and an end to perpetual war.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll call up Emily Yates, who served in Iraq. And Emily is bringing her banjo to give a little other tone to our gathering here.
Hi, yeah. So I've been told that a banjo is a better communication device than just a regular old voice. But I would like to start just by saying that as an Iraq veteran and as someone who has seen the way that the 2001 AUMF led to essentially the destruction of Iraq and a huge power vacuum there that essentially created the atmosphere and the environment for ISIL to proliferate. I think that it's an insult to all those of us who have been there to see that there's not really any deeper strategy that's being proposed to the American people with this new AUMF as there was before. So we have no real reason to believe that even with this current situation where, as Congressman Lee's representative just said, the 2001 AUMF hasn't been repealed, so there's no new authorization needed. Even so, we're supposed to believe that some more specific but still vague authorizations are going to create a solution to a problem that we helped create and have not solved yet. And on that note, I'm going to stop talking and start playing this song. Well, you broke my heart like Barack broke his campaign promises. You got out fast like he said he'd get us out of Iraq. Well, I left my heart wide open to you, like Obama left Guantanamo open to you. You both threw me off track, but I still voted both of you back. 'Cause I miss you like American bombs miss their targets. And I need you like the politicians need the press. But I hate you like I hate the establishment. So there's something that I must ask. Please don't make me have to start a revolution all over your ass. You dropped into my life the way our shock and awe dropped into Baghdad. You stuck around for a while like we've stuck around Afghanistan. Well, you were always so attentive to me every day, just like the FBI and the NSA. But one day you stopped treating me right. Oh, if only you had had some oversight. 'Cause I miss you like American bombs miss their targets. Everybody. And I need you like the politicians need the press. But I hate you like I hate the establishment. But I hate you like I hate the establishment. So there's something that I must ask. Please don't make me have to start a revolution over your ass. Please don't make me have to start a revolution all over your ass.
And one veteran followed Cox Veterans for Peace.
That's unfair to make me ask to follow that. Really. I will be short. My name is Paul Cox. I'm one of the founders of the San Francisco chapter of Veterans for Peace, and I've been a member of Veterans for Peace for many, many years. Veterans for Peace and I have taken the position that the current authorization for military force is unnecessary, counterproductive, and really a wrong direction for President Obama to continue. And he, by getting rid of the 2002 AUMF, that's good. That was a war crime pure and simple. But to continue with the 2001 military force authorization that was applied to Al-Qaeda and Afghanistan and anybody we can call those people is also wrong. The current authorization, which defines, it proposes to authorize force against the Islamic State, ISIS or ISIL, and its associated persons and forces, is just like saying anybody we can call them. How much further is it until they say anybody we can call us? And it's a failure to use diplomacy when diplomacy is required, and it really needs to be debated, as Congresswoman Lee has called for on Congress, and Congress needs to step up and take this country in a different direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Now I'd like to call up Stephen McNeil of the American Friends Service Committee.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephen McNeil with American Friends Service Committee, which is a Quaker organization supported by people of many and no faiths, and believe in the power of love to overcome violence. We want to reemphasize the repeal of the 2001 authorization to use military force as the first step, because it is the authorization that's been used and invoked over 30 times in order to do lethal drone strikes in Yemen, Somalia, special operations in Mali, and actions in Pakistan. We need to stop these endless wars. We need to debate in Congress what it is that Congress wants to authorize, if anything. We oppose the proposed authorization to use military force against ISIL, and we also call upon the use of economic actions in order to cut the funding to ISIL. That's really the way you're going to start the operations that they're carrying out. And also we'll call upon diplomatic means to go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Next I'll call up Kat Brooks of ONYX Organizing Committee, Black Power Network.
Good afternoon. ONYX and the Black Power Network stand in clear opposition to this new authorization. Authorization that will undoubtedly mean the continued loss of innocent brown lives, the mothers, fathers, children who become collateral damage in the United States war on terror. We also cannot help but to laugh at the hypocrisy of this government that is at best ignoring and at worst facilitating the genocide of a people right here in America. Every 28 hours, a black man, woman, or child is gunned down by America's domestic army, the police force. If we are serious about creating peace in the world, as is the Obama administration's public logic for this engagement, we must be just as, if not more serious about creating peace at home. The demand for African liberation in America is inextricably tied to the demand for liberation for oppressed nations across the globe, and that includes liberation from the threat of American bombs, missiles, and gunfire.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm Janet Weil of CODEPINK, and I stand here also as a military family member since January 2003. Wars are not the answer to terrorism. How much more evidence do we need? I am a member of a minority of Americans whose family members have been deployed and deployed again and again. My nephew is on his third deployment. There are families who have gone through 10 or more deployments to battlefields in Iraq, Afghanistan, and elsewhere since 2003. We are exhausted emotionally and psychologically, and often financially as well, with the wars and their aftermath. They pull in our young family members and combatants and return them to us, all too often shattered, traumatized, depressed, or dead. A U.S. war against Iraq, sold to the U.S. public on lies and propaganda, based on securing more advantageous oil contracts for oil corporations and for other corporations' profits. And I will just name two of a very long list: Halliburton and Blackwater. This has been sustained by our apathy, our tax dollars, and the no draft deal. There is a sort of covert draft, but there's no overt draft. These wars have become a permanent feature of our economy and politics. The U.S. war against Iraq began in the summer of 1990. A full generation later, it is long past time for Americans to say no more war. Our country has wrecked and poisoned Iraq, has damaged Afghanistan, has done vast environmental and political damage throughout the Middle East, and it has drained resources from our needs at home. CODEPINK and I, as an individual, oppose this new authorization for military force. Women say no to war. Thank you very much for coming. This is so important. Thank you all to the members of the media. Thank you to our speakers, to all of you standing in support, and especially to Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Jonathan, please give her our warm regards, and we know that she has often fought a lonely fight in D.C., and we hope that this time it is less lonely and more successful. Thank you again so much for coming. And some of us will now adjourn for lunch and discussion. There are many next steps. And the pushback against this new AUMF has just begun.